Hey guys, the topic of the video is for the time being the one we're going to do right now on renewing your passport in the Philippines. Before I get off into that very far, I want to take a moment and I want to acknowledge one of the bloggers here in the Philippines that been very gracious to me and helpful. Uh, Sunshine Shoulders. I got in contact with him and asked him for uh, basically some channel support, and I was surprised that the guy responded because I mean he's got like around 50,000 subscribers, and so he's an oncoming up, pretty big channel here, and I'm proud for his success for him. I've been following him a couple of years, but in our discussion, he suggested that people might want to know more about my inside life here than specifically what I do most of the time, which is blogging about my profession or my heretofore profession. So that's the reason I made this video about about renewing the passport. Also, just an addendum to this with Mr. Calvin. Not only did he agree to, you know, support my channel by mentioning it, which is really all I had expected, he actually invited me to be on a panel with him this, I think, upcoming Tuesday. So, barring brownouts, which is common here in the Philippines and in Zamboanga, more current because of the current power outages and the destruction of the towel. Anyway, let's get on to the topic now. If you're a first timer coming over here and you want to, you're worried about what can I do about my visa? Well, right now, you get 29, 30 days on arrival. It's called visa on arrival. It's not visa free. It's an exchange program the United States has with the Philippines and several other countries where citizens can come in without paying initially. And that's based on political stuff that's beyond the scope of my understanding, but nonetheless, that's how it works. And right now, the Congress in the Philippines, the House, if I'm not mistaken, has already ratified updating the new immigration law policy. Now, I don't know if it's cleared the Senate. I expect that it will. And when President Marcos signs off on that new legislation, then you'll be getting 59 days on arrival. That, at this point, don't hold me to the fire on that, because it has not, to my knowledge, at this point, has not happened. If you want to keep up with that, follow the bloggers in the USA and here in the Philippines that do a great job of that. I'm just giving you general information about what might be coming, and I can definitely tell you what is at the present time. Now, so you get here, okay, you got 29 days on arrival. Again, let's just go over this so you understand it. And this is barring all the other requirements for COVID and the E-Pass and whatever else that they may or may not require at the time. This is specifically about the visa aspect of this. So you get here, you got a visa. Now, how did you get here? First of all, you got to meet a requirement to have an exit ticket when you enter the country. There are a lot of people that use throwaway tickets, and a throwaway ticket, if you don't know what that is, I don't trust using them myself because they are a time ticket. They're legitimate ticket booking reservation, but they're on a time thing, like 48 hours or something. And, you know, a lot of people prefer to do that and save the money as opposed to buying a burner ticket to Taiwan or to wherever it is they might want to go to show an exit ticket. Now, the exit ticket has to be within the time of your 28 days, your stay here. So once you met that requirement and whatever else they've got going on at the time, uh, then we're going to go back on to the visa. You're here 28 days, rocking along, enjoying the Philippines and whatever else you're doing here. Now comes time to renew your visa if you're going to stay. So there are a lot of different options about this, and you can go 3 or 4 different BIs and get different results. Now, why that is, I don't know, and I think it's lack of communication and bureaucracy and a lot of just, I don't want to call it, yeah, it's corruption. There's corruption involved with this also, so be aware of that, and I'm going to touch on that briefly in this process. But once you are at the point that you need to renew your visa, now you need to decide how long. The standard procedure is you can get another extension for 2 months, 60 days, 59 days. After 59 days, then you are eligible to get the what they call ACR card, Alien Certificate of Registration. I don't know what it's good for, I have it, but anyway, it's a form of documentation. Well, let's go back to the process. All right, I'll just share my personal experience with you. I managed, when I came here, to go through Manila. Now, not knowing anything about anything, because it was right in the middle of near the, you know, just when COVID restrictions were when the Philippines laxed their restrictions just a little and were starting to realize that they needed to open back up the country. So I go to Manila, and the first thing we do is once we go to the Bureau of Immigration there in Manila, we're met outside by this guard, or we walk up to the steps and there's a guard sitting there with his uniform. Now, me not knowing who is who, and whether or not it's standard procedure because of COVID, you can't go in the building, he directs us over across the street to a coffee cafe. And upstairs there's a little table, and there's a little lady that apparently has worked in the past in the BI and has connections there. So, she tells me for X number of pesos I can circumvent this process of having to come back in another month and do this again. And in fact, I can pretty much renew my visa for pretty much as long as I got pesos. So I ended up with a 6-month extension, which ended, or 8 months, because I got 28 days, 29 days. And I was charged a substantial fee. Now, it was about 25,000 pesos. And I'm not suggesting that you do this, I'm just telling you this so that you're aware you need to look out for these kinds of things. Because a couple of things could have happened. One, the lady they could have just very well taken my money and left, because I had no idea what I was doing. I just saw others there doing the same thing, so I figured this must be what we got to do. And I really, after the time that it occurred to me that maybe this is what they call a fixer, I done got hard and tired, and I didn't want to make another trip back to Manila or try to go to another BI anywhere in 28 days. So I ended up in one setting with an extension on I came in April and I ended up with an extension till December of this year. And actually, I just renewed my visa extension, and that's what I want to tell you about. Um, and I went to Osama City. Now, I live in Mindanao, in Zamboanga del Norte, and there aren't that many BI offices around here. The closest one that has what is it? Somebody comes in there on, not even an office, they just come in there on Friday and work limited hours, and they take your money and your paperwork, and send your visa application request either to Manila or to Osama City. I'm not sure where they send it. All I know is that you can get your visa renewed in Dipolog City on Fridays, and you'll be told that there are varying lengths of time that you can do this. Some offices is going to tell you you only get 1 month, you only get 2 months, or you get 2 months. Well, that may be what you get, and you may end up having to accept that. But here's what happened in my case, and the reason I'm telling you this is so that you'll know that there are a myriad of answers you might get depending on what immigration office you go to. So, we don't have what you call great phone service down here, and the folks down here don't really answer the phone. So, we knew from talking with people that were in Dipolog that have used the service, that Dipolog has an office there in City Hall that you can go to, or city government, whatever they call the building there. You can go to and renew your visa or extend your visa. And I went there one time initially because everything's in Dipolog City. It's the capital here. And it's a good 4-hour bus ride from here. So you go there to the doctor or whatever, you go get something. This is one of the times I went in to find out about the immigration process. At that time, I was told, and I took my girlfriend in with me because the communication barrier, even though Filipinos speak English, a lot of times it's broken English, and a lot of times it's limited. And if you're from the States, we all have different dialects. I'm from the South, and I talk like I got syrup in my mouth all the time. So it's hard to communicate. So I would encourage you, if you have a partner or someone to go with you that can work as a mediator or an interpreter with you, it'd be to your advantage. But we talked to the young man there on that Friday morning in Dipolog City, and he looked at all our papers that we had, and which I've got a big bag of papers now because they give you a receipt and stamp paper and paper and paper and paper and paper. It's not all stamped in my passport. It's on these paper copies that they gave me. So that's the first thing we sorted out. Then we asked him, how much 6 months visa extension? So 6 months, I can do 6 months and be rested up enough to go back and do another extension in another 6 months. So, and he gave me a price of around $200, 10,000 pesos, something around that neighborhood, which I was totally willing to do. Now, probably looking back in retrospect, should have done it then, but I didn't. I figured, well, there's another Friday, and I've got 2 or 3 more months to do this. So I decided in October, the latter part of October, that I didn't want to wait until the very last minute. So I decided to go ahead and do the extension now. So I went to Dipolog City, and it was on a Friday, and then I took the 4-hour bus ride, and guess what? When we got there, Dipolog City had a holiday. Now they have more holidays around here than you can shake a stick at. Birthdays, holidays, San Jose, Saint Santa Teresa. I'm not, and they're on Barangay. Dipolog City had its own day. The founding of Dipolog City apparently was this holiday, but nobody knew it. So we have to make a decision there. Well, what's the next closest place I can go to get these extensions? Well, it was either over Dumaguete or it was all the way over to Osama City. Now, Osama City is further, best I can call it, would be down the coast, eastward, down the coast. And or westward. I'm not good with direction, but it's 5 more hours down the coast. Let's just call it that. And it's another bus ride for 5 hours. So I decided, okay, at this point, we're going to Osama City. I came to get this done. I don't want to wait because something else might come up. So we get to Osama City. And Osama City has 2 immigration departments there, which neither my girlfriend nor myself was aware of. One of them is where you get your passport, and this was her first experience with this kind of thing, so that's where we went initially, and it's on the outskirts of Osama. Well, we got there, and they told us to go back to Osama City proper and go to a specific mall. Now, the name escapes me. I can look it up if anybody wants to know it. I'm just giving you the process here and what happened. So we go back, and we get to the immigration office in the mall. And it's supposed to be open, I think, at 8 or 9 a.m., whatever's on the sign there. But everybody's standing around, sitting around. 20 or 30 minutes later, finally, what we asked, what's going on? And it turns out that the guy in immigration had to just close his office, go to another island for some emergency that was happening, family emergency. I don't know what it was. But he had to go there and he came back. So we sit there and waited. And finally, when they opened up, it's our time to go up to the immigration officer and give him our paperwork and tell him what I want. And of course, I take my girlfriend with me because, again, the English thing. So we say to the gentleman, 6 months extension, called like 6 months extension. And he immediately looks back to my girlfriend and he says in Tagalog or Bisaya, whatever they're talking, you can only get 2 months at a time. This office is only authorized to give you 2 months extension on your visa at a time. If you want 6 months, you have to go to the main office like Manila or Dumaguete. So you can imagine my frustration. I done come now 10 hours on a bus for a 2-month extension. So I asked her to ask him again. I said, is there something we can do? Six months. And the guy said, well, we can issue 3 2-month extensions. Okay, really, I don't care how he sizes it up. 6 is 6, so that's great. So I ended up getting 3 2-month extensions back to back, right there, and I think that cost almost $200. And that was through the immigration office, not through a fixer. So the moral of the story here is, guys, is that you got to be careful when you come here looking for an extension on your visa. Don't be dissuaded by the first response you might get with an immigration officer in one location or another, because there is no uniformity. Uh, uh, I mean, that's just one thing about the Philippines that you're going to have to accept. There's no uniformity. Uh, just an example of that, without getting into the Philippine politics, which is not what I'm doing here. I'm just stating an example. Marcos lifted the mask mandate for inside and out, except for public transportation. Uh, but still, malls and other places, stores here in the Philippines apparently didn't get the memo. So it's just that kind of thing with immigration. So be aware that you may get two different stories from two different Bureau of Immigrations. Also be aware of fixers. Now, did it work out for me in my case? Yes, it did. It was worth the 25,000 pesos for me to go ahead and pay it there, so I didn't have to go back to Manila and try to renew for another 6 months, because if you figure the factor in the cost, the planes, the hotels, the blah, 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 it was worth it to just go ahead and do it. So in the same day, I got my 6-month extension in Manila, and it ended up with 8 months, actually, until December. And I got my ACR card all in the same day. Now, they will tell you over and over again, that's not the process. You got to go first get your 29-day, your 59-day, or your 2-month, your 59-day, and then you are eligible to apply for an ACR card. And depending on where you go, that may be what happened. But in my case, I got it all at one time. And so just be aware, guys, that if you're coming over here, do your own due diligence and check. You're going to be lost as a he hang hell. Now, if this is your first time and you don't know who to believe, what to do, what to trust. Now, there are some agencies here in the Philippines, some very reputable agencies that will do this for you, but still, you got to get to them and you got to pay them for that service. And that's something you can make your own decision about. But renewing the visa extension can be challenging, depending on where you go, or it can be smooth. You just got to be aware that you may not get the answer you want or the result you want at the first Bureau of Immigration. It's similar with the driver's license. I stated this on another video, but I want to put it out there just to hammer home this idea. I decided to get my Philippine driver's license because I wanted to stay within the law here. And again, where I'm at, the closest place to go to what they're called LTOs here, Land Transportation Office, was what's the next town over here? Sindangan. Sindangan is the next town. Well, I go to Sindangan, and again, it's like the episode with being met in Manila with a guard outside. Not knowing what the protocol is, we get there early, and we are met outside by this guy that gives us some paperwork. And we tell him what we want, and I never go in. 3 hours later, he comes back and wants to lead me over to away from the building to talk to me. He tells me that for $180 US dollars, I can get my license transferred, my US license transferred to or changed to a Philippine driver's license. Now, by this time, I'm getting hot and heavy and tired. I've been out there 3 hours in the heat, and I just lost it. I said, ain't no way in hell, basically. And told her to come on, let's go. Now, being what my girlfriend calls stand burn, stubborn, it probably cost me about the same amount. But I said, no way, we'll go to the next city. We went to Diplock, went to the legitimate LTO office and paid there, uh, I think it was about 85, 90 US dollars for an eye exam that I never got, whatever the other fees were. I paid for them. And I ended up getting my driver's license, and you can't see it probably on the camera, but my eyes are blue. But in the Philippines, my eyes are black. Now, by this time, I didn't care. All I wanted was my license, and I wanted to have that document. So that's enough, even with legitimate organizations, legitimate government offices, things just don't work like they might in some other place. Let's just put it like that. Okay, guys, I hope that's helpful to someone that's considering coming to the Philippines and maybe extending the visa. Now, I know it's pretty boring talking, looking at me talking, so I'm going to show you my girlfriend's flowers. She loves flowers. All the Filipinos have this, and pretty much, I mean literally all of them, have this penchant for flowers. Now, you can't see outside because I'm not going out there, but it looks like a jungle in front of the house out there because they love plants. So that's just a little view of the area that I'm in here. So until next time, guys, take care. Don't forget to hit and subscribe to the channel and like the video or dislike it, anything. It really doesn't matter what, just do something so that there's some interaction with the algorithm. Thank you.